Hi everyone, this video is part of our series on mastering Azure Data Factory, and for this video we'll break down on what Azure Data Factory is, look at its most common uses, and cover a hands-on demo to help you create your first Azure Data Factory. Let's get started. So what exactly is Azure Data Factory? In simple terms, Azure Data Factory or ADF is a cloud-based data integration and data transformation service. Microsoft designed it to help data professionals create, schedule, and manage workflows to move and transform data at scale. ADF acts as a data integration solution for building data pipelines, combining data from multiple sources and processing that data in various ways. You can think of it as an orchestrator of data, allowing you to move data between systems or perform complex transformations along the way. Now let's look at a real-world example to see Azure Data Factory in action. Imagine an e-commerce company collecting massive amounts of customer activity logs in the cloud. At the same time, they also have data like product details and marketing information stored in their on-premise data center. The company wants to analyze both cloud-based and on-premise data to better understand customer preferences, demographics, and behavior to develop new features and drive business growth to improve customer experience. This is where Azure Data Factory comes in. It's a cloud-based tool designed for moving, combining, and transforming data. With Azure Data Factory, you can set up pipelines to pull data from different sources, visually create data processing processes, and use powerful compute services for complex data transformations. Once the data is processed, you can store data to be used for business intelligence applications. This way, Azure Data Factory helps turn raw data into organized, actionable insights for better decision making. We've just seen how Azure Data Factory can help move and transform data for analysis. To understand how it works behind the scenes, let's dive into two essential data processes, ETL and ELT. These are the core workflows that drive data integration and transformations in tools like Azure Data Factory. ETL is a common process used to prepare and organize data before storing it in a data warehouse. This is ideal when the data needs to be highly structured and ready for users to access. Here's how it works. In Extract, these steps involve pulling raw data from various sources such as databases, files, or APIs. The goal is to gather all relevant data no matter where it's stored and bring it into one place for processing. After extraction, the data is cleaned and prepared for analysis. This includes removing duplicates, fixing errors, reformatting, or reorganizing the data. It might also involve performing calculations or combining data from different sources. The transformation step ensures that the data is accurate, consistent, and in the right format for usage. Finally, the transformed data is stored in a target system like a data warehouse. This makes it ready for analysis and accessible to tools like dashboards or reporting system for business intelligence. Now, ELT is commonly used when we need to store and process large amounts of raw data efficiently when flexibility and scalability are critical. Similarly to ETL, the first step is to extract data. Once the data is extracted, the next step is to load it in a storage system like a data lake. Unlike other methods, ELT loads the data in its raw form without changing or processing it first. This makes the loading process much faster since you're not doing any data transformation at this stage. After loading the data, the next step is to transform it. This means cleaning the data, fixing errors, reformatting it, or even combining it with other data to make it useful for analysis. In ELT, transformations happen after the data is loaded into storage system, therefore compute and storage are typically decoupled. Now let's compare ETL and ELT side by side. Here's what we see when we break it down into a few key categories. First up is the process. With ETL, data is prepared and cleaned before it's stored. ELT, however, stores raw data first and prepares it later. ETL is good when you need everything in a specific format right away, while ELT offers more flexibility. Next is data compatibility. ETL is best for structured data, organized data that fits in a format. ELT, on the other hand, can handle all kinds of data, including unstructured data like text and images, making it a good choice for large, mixed data sources. When it comes to speed, ELT is usually faster. Since the transformation happens inside the data warehouse, it can handle bigger data loads more quickly than ETL, which processes the data before loading. Finally, let's talk about cost. ETL can be more expensive, especially if it needs special tools to process the data. ELT can actually be cheaper because it uses the data warehouse's power for processing. To sum it up, ETL is ideal when you need clean, organized data from the start. ELT is better for big data projects where you need speed and flexibility. Now that we have covered what Azure Data Factory is and how it works, let's move on to a hands-on demo on how you can create your own Azure Data Factory. So in your Azure landing page, you'll see a list of Azure services at the top and you'll see Azure Data Factories. But fret not if you're not able to see data factories at your web page. All you need to do is go to the search bar and type in data factories, and you'll see data factories popped out as the first one under services. So in your data factories web page, you can go ahead and click create. You'll be directed to the configuration page on how you want to create your data factory. So under the resource group, I'll be selecting this ADF_demo RG, which I've created previously. And as for the instant details, you have to give a name of the data factory. And let's say, for example, let me call it demo ADF_. And we'll run into some issues because the name can only contain letters, numbers, and hyphens. And this data factory name is already taken, so we need to create a unique ADF name. So let's say demo ADF-08. It's alright. Okay, and for the region, we have to choose the Azure region. Ideally, you want to choose a region that's closest to where you are so that the connection, the latency will be at its lowest. So for me, I'll choose Southeast Asia. And for version, we'll leave it as V2. Subsequently, there are additional configurations that you can do, including your Git repository configuration. You can choose whether you want to link it to Azure DevOps or GitHub, but this can be done subsequently later. And so it's the same for networking and as well as your advanced, which is your data factory encryption, which can be configured later. So we just head over to the review and create, and we can go ahead and click create. As you can see, right now it's actually initializing the deployment, and it's actually creating a template in the backend, and the deployment is actually in progress. And as you can see, the deployment is actually fairly fast. And if we were to go back to our homepage and click on data factories, you'll be able to see the newly created data factories that you have created. So we go ahead and click on it and click on Launch Studio. After a bit of loading, you'll be able to see that your data factory has actually been set up. If you have learned something from today's video or like more of such content, please feel free to leave a comment or subscribe. I'll see you next time.